All right. Hello, everyone. This is Daryl Andrews, Coach D, the Workforce Motivator, and coming to you with another one of my sessions. The beauty of the world in which we live today is you have technology in which you can instruct almost on the spot. So excited to be here again. As mentioned, I am a consultant, speaker, and a trainer, as well as a coach to organizations and individuals. Really worldwide. We've been able to travel all over the country and all over the world using our talents to make a difference. I'm an author of a bunch of books. Hey, how you doing, Kathleen? Nice to be connected with you here. Got this book here, Reinvention, The Pathway to Job Search Success, that I wrote several years ago. My best-selling book is my first book entitled How to Find Your Passion and Make a Living at It. And then I have a book here for teenagers, The Purpose Living Teen, A Teen's Guide to Living Your Dreams, which is my best-selling book. Where we've been able to help hundreds and thousands of young people connect life to a sense of meaning. And so I've had a chance to stand on stages and, oh boy, in every state in the country and internationally to be able to use the gifts to make a difference. Hey, Miss Eva Denison. How you doing, Eva Denison? Nice to see you again. Thanks for jumping on board with us here. But I wanted to do today's session here because we're, as mentioned before, living in unprecedented times. I mean, right now, more than ever, there are more people out of work, more people trying to find work, countless businesses that have shut their doors. I'm just amazed at the amount of businesses that are no longer in business. I was trying to rent we have 3 cars here, but there's a nice little kind of a sports car I was trying to rent to do something with my daughter with, and come to find out that the rental companies aren't renting out. Some of them aren't renting out cars. It's crazy right now, but because they were saying a lot of people aren't employed there anymore, they don't have the capacity to do certain things, and so the reality of the matter is these are some unprecedented times employment wise. So we have a couple options with this. We could kind of so anyway, sorry, I had a message. But we're trying. We have an option. We can go with the mainstream and try to we can just like say, it's a problem. Everything that's going on is a challenge. Or we can say, what tools do I have in my tool chest? And one of the tools I'm trying to get people to recognize today in the times in which we live, and I'm sorry, Siri's talking to me, is that what are you passionate about? Let me pause it right there. What are you passionate about? When it comes to work, we spend a good 60 to 70% of our life in the workplace doing something, okay? And that could be a variety of different things, okay? And nothing to me is more challenging to meet a person that's been on a job all their lives, and the only thing they're excited about is retirement. I can't wait to retire. Lots of negatives about their job and lots of negative about the people. But so the only joy of 40, 50 years of work is to end it. And I came up with a term, and there's other people who have used it. And one guy in particular used it and has made a lot of money off of it. And that is, thank God it's Monday. I wrote that on my book, How to Find Your Passion and Make a Living at It, in 1999. So I know ET's been using it, but I started talking about that in 1999. But you're right, Kathleen. I mean, just a whole lifetime, years, just to come to the end and say, I can't wait for it to end. And so I always thought, man, if a person is going to spend that much of their lives doing something, my goodness, it'd be something that you love to do. Something that has a sense of meaning. Something that has a sense of purpose, a sense of destiny. This is more than just that. You have a lot of people out here just throwing these terms out there. I've been studying and researching this stuff for 25 years. So I'm not a flash in the pan. because I just realized that, man, people don't have to end up in jobs that they despise and then retire and then fade off to oblivion. When you're doing what you love to do, you may not even think about retiring. Let me be clear on that. Some jobs you do retire from, but some are just jobs you can do forever. Like what I do now, I'm doing this forever. I'm going to be on my deathbed motivating somebody because this is what I love to do. This is what makes me up in the morning. You know, I spent this entire day doing webinars and seminars and coaching and brainstorming with people. My good friend Jay McGowan and I were working on the transformation project, and boy, we're gonna rock the house with that thing. It's coming out soon. But the point I'm making is simply this: I wake up in the morning ready to go, y'all. I'm ready. I'm not waking up saying I dread this day. I'm not waking up rolling out my bed and saying, "Oh no, here we go again." I found what I'm passionate about, and I've committed my life to it. I walked away from a very successful corporate career. Well, not a bad company. It was a great experience. But I just didn't wake up in the morning feeling that no more. You know what I mean? It just wasn't in me. Now, there's a lot of factors that caused that, but the reality of the matter, it wasn't there. And so I spent the last 25 years studying and researching how people find their passion, how people find purpose, you know? Now, I'll be honest with you, as a believer, I have my thoughts on from a personal perspective and, you know, in God's impact in my life. However, there are some things that people have shared in their own experiences over the years that I've looked at and said, that makes sense. And so let me just tell you a few tools that I think that are phenomenal. One, before I go into my some of these pathways I want to talk about, is a book by Dr. Howard Gardner. Okay, Dr. Howard Gardner. And the book is called Frames of Mind, The Theory of Multiple Intelligences. Now, I want you to hear me with this. And this is something you want to teach your kids because I taught it to mine. You got to realize, matter of fact, let me go back. Dr. Gardner was refuting research by Dr. Alfred Binet. And I'm glad he did because I just recently found out that back then there was a lot of these eugenics people that were trying to, you know, create stuff to kind of marginalize and put people into a category of insignificant and then say all these great people are over here. But Dr. Binet came up with this IQ test, and it was basically if you have a high IQ, you go here, do this, do that, go this school, go that school. And people bought into it. Schools bought into it. Companies bought into it. Nations bought into it. Hate to say this, so did Hitler. He bought into it, thinking that some people are superior and some people are inferior. So you had this whole generation of people that thought that if you didn't have this high IQ, or you didn't have this certain look, you were insignificant. And so along comes Dr. Howard Gardner. He said, man, oh, that's radical. I'm putting, these are my words, not here. We don't just have one IQ. We have multiple IQs. We have people who have intelligence that they were born with. I love that. And I know it's true. My son just graduated from one of the top art schools in the country. I never exposed him to art, but the boy had a propensity towards art that led him from getting a college degree from one of the top art schools in the United States. It was in him. And so Dr. Gardner talks about how we have all these different intelligences. You have linguistic intelligence. That's what I possess, the ability to communicate. I've taken a lot of courses, but a lot of what I share is who I am. I was born to do this. Then you have a linguistic, you have you have logical mathematical intelligence. And that's intelligence that people have that are analytical. And we love those people because they're the ones that put the strategy to the visionaries. Without your analyticals, man, it's hard to accomplish anything because they're the ones that really help with the strategy. Then you have your musical intelligence. Then you have what he calls your bodily kinesthetic intelligence. These are people who are athletes and dancers and singers and choreographers and all of that. And so the point I'm making is simply this. I'm a big fan of Dr. Gardner's work because guess what? I agree with him. We were born with certain intelligences. We were born with certain intelligence. I believe that. I believe God placed that in us for a reason. And most people don't even know it. And so people tell you who you are and you're not who people tell you are, but you believe it because we don't know any better. So somebody tells us I'm this or tell me I'm that, tell me I can do this, tell me I can't do that. And we buy into it, not knowing that we got gifts to do what it is that we're called to do. And I know there's challenges with that. I know as a man of color, I have barriers and things that come my way, but I don't let it stop me. I was born to do something. And I don't care if anybody want to try to stop me. That doesn't matter. I'm going to still try to do it anyway. And so part of it is just having confidence and encouraging yourself to believe in your potential. But Dr. Gardner's work is powerful because I'm telling you, I agree with him. That just one intelligent stuff, forget that. So I'm going to talk about 2 ways. I have 5 ways that I call the passion pathways. All right. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Dr. Roach. I appreciate that. That's it. That's it. There you go. Without passion, there's nothing. That's it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And so I'm going to give you a couple of these pathways with your passions. I'm going to give you 2 of them. If you want the rest, then you're going to get that, let me coach you or bring me to your organization, because I've been doing this. I've done thousands of workshops and all that. But here's what I want to give you, 2 things. The first one is called lifetime infatuation. Don't you ever forget that statement. Came up with this about 15 years ago. Lifetime infatuations are things that people are infatuated with that they were never exposed to. They were just born with it. They're infatuated with cooking, infatuating with speaking, infatuated with managing money, infatuated with, whatever. It could be a variety of different things. And it's such an infatuation that they can just see themselves doing it. Some people may become infatuated with acting. Some people are infatuated with art, and they so infatuated. I want to find a way to make a career out of this thing I'm infatuated with. I tell people all the time, my next door neighbor is an engineer by trade, has an engineering degree. And after years of dealing with engineering, decided I want to do what I really love to do. He likes fixing cars. So guess what? He opened up a shop and probably 10 times more successful today than he was as an engineer, doing what he loves to do. I remember the basketball coach, Larry Brown. He was the coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. And he was being interviewed by this young man. And the guy, he had just signed a 5-year, $25 million contract. And the guy said this. He said to him, how does it feel to know? Check this out. You got to hear this. This is powerful stuff. He said, how does it feel to know that you're going to be working for another 5 years? And Larry Brown smiled, and he looked in the camera and looked back at the young man. He said, young man, young man, let me tell you something. I haven't worked in 25 years. Young man looked at him. He said, let me tell you again, I haven't worked in 25 years. And then he walked away. The guy never even got what the man was saying. What he was saying, and he didn't have to explain it. He said, coaching is not working to me, man. This is what I was born to do. Thank you, Dr. Roach. I appreciate that, man. I really do. This is what I do, man. This is my career. I travel. I mentioned a little earlier, I got books like I did for teenagers, The Purpose Living Teen, A Teen's Guide to Living Your Dreams, Reinvention, The Pathway to Job Search Success. My early stage book, How to Find Your Passion and Make a Living at It, was one of the best-selling books of its time during this generation. I remember when Tavis Smiley used to do his annual events, he pulled it out and said, this is a must read for people who are trying to find their passion. How to find your passion and make a living at it. I've been at this for a long time. And telling people what Coach Brown said is it. He told that dude, man, work. Man, I ain't worked in 25 years. And he's trying to say, this is my infatuation. I love this stuff, man. This is not work to me. And I tell people this stuff and they say, Coach, that's motivation. No, if you just look at it as motivation, you are missing the mark. Man, if I'm going to spend my entire life doing something, I want this to be meaningful. I want this to make sense. I want to wake up in the morning with a sense of dignity and pride and esteem, and not get up and roll out of my bed and feel like, oh, here we go again. Oh, I got to do this all over again. Yeah. Yes, sir. There it is. Yeah. So yeah, you can go to, you have to, I know, listen, my books are on Amazon, How to Find Your Passion and Make a Living at It. Someone, I got a Facebook user, but I can't tell who that is. But my email is info@coachdspeaks.com. info@coachdspeaks.com. I don't know what it is because it says Facebook user. It doesn't have a name. info@coachdspeaks.com. And Amazon is the primary way now because of COVID. I don't sell them in pretty much any other way now. COVID changed all of that. Okay, so Amazon is the primary way that we do the book sales. All right, through Amazon.com. All right. So the thing I'm trying to say to you is that when you have infatuation, I remember Rachel Ray, the cook, and her mother was saying that when she was 2-3 years old, she would take this stool and push it up to the stove. And as they were cooking, she would just sit there and watch. She would watch them cook, And I'm saying, just watch them cook. Hey, Tawana, how you doing, huh? How's it going? And so he would watch them cook. She would watch the parents cook. Now, she was 2 years old. Her mom wasn't trying to teach her how to cook. This is Rachel Ray. She wasn't trying to teach her how to cook. But the girl had an interest in cooking. Do I need to say anything else? Do I need to say that? Listen, there's this skater. I can't remember her name. I don't know if it's Tara Lipinski or someone like that. And she was about 4 years old. And her mom was videotaping her. And she was out there on ice skates. And she wasn't that good. She was only 4. So she's skating and falling and getting up and falling and grabbing the rail, the thing, and pulling herself up. And the mom had the camera going all along. And then she pulls herself up, looks into the camera and says, one day I'm going to win the Olympic gold medal. And guess what? At the age of 17, she did. Infatuation, man. Infatuation. Serena Williams was interviewed on Oprah Winfrey, and she was talking, this was in the early stages of her success. And Oprah was just talking about her success and how successful she was, and how blessed she is. And she said, yeah, I am blessed. But then she said this, it took me 20 years to become an overnight success. She had been working at that since she was 4. Let me tell you something, friends. I've been sharing this message. There's all these folk out here nowadays. I don't know what they're doing. But for me, I've been sharing this message for 25 years. And I'm here to tell you that if you're going to do something and spend your life doing something, life is too precious to be doing something that you hate doing. Something that gives you ulcers and headaches and stomach aches and all of that. And this is a great time to find that lane because we got time. There's a lot of people right now. I'm doing a lot of training for workforce development groups, and they're inviting me to come in and train their displaced workers, people that have lost their jobs. You know what I mean? Yeah. They go. I like that, Dr. Rose. You're right. I like what you said. Hobbies are too mundane. Look at lifetime infatuation. Absolutely, my friend. So they invite me to do these. What I'm sharing with you, I'm sharing with these folks. I'm sharing with them. You know what I mean, man? Come on. Now's the time, because what you got a lot of folks right now, they're getting this little extra money from the government. So instead of saying, okay, I got 8 months now, let me dig in, man. Let me figure out what I can do and let me try something new. They sitting home watching Netflix. I'm like, are you kidding me? Man, this is the time to write your goals down and write your plans. Yeah, you're getting that little check. Your mortgage is being paid, your bill. This is like, man, people giving you time to figure it out. Get off of Netflix. Get focused. Find what your passion is. All right? And then make it happen. So lifetime infatuation is 1. I have 5, but I'm only going to give you 2. You want more than that, you're going to have me come in and do a workshop, or you're going to pay me to coach you. Because people do pay me to coach them. The second one I want to talk to you about, we have lifetime infatuation. The next one is the influence of others. Hear that one. The influence of others. I do a lot of work with educators, and I'll ask the question, why are you in education? And 90% of them would say because of another teacher, or their mom was a teacher, or their dad was a teacher. That influence caused them to want to do what they saw the other person do. I never forget this. I used to work for a company called Abbott Laboratories in their medical diagnostics division. And I loved the job. It was a good job. So I was in sales. So I was out in the field selling these diagnostic systems to hospitals and places like that. But Abbott had what's called a lending library. And in the lending library, we can get tapes of different speakers. So I would get the Zig Ziglar tapes. And because I just some reason love Zig. And I would pop that tape on and drive around doing my sales calls. And man, that motivated me to do my sales calls. Every day I was listening to that guy. Every day. And then some years later, I was introduced to a guy by the name of Dr. Miles Monroe, and then my life was changed. Dr. Monroe taught me more about life than you could ever imagine. Now I'm popping Dr. Monroe stuff in and I'm listening to that. So I'm listening to Zig. I'm listening to Dr. Monroe, listening to Zig, listening to Dr. Monroe. And guess what? I said, I want to do what they're doing. I want to use my life to make a difference. I want to transform lives. I want to see people's lives better as a result of mine. I want to teach. I want to train. I want to coach. I want to motivate. And I said, man, I'm going to make this happen. And the man that's here today that's been on 3,000 stages, 8 books, writing 2 more, traveled all over the world. Just the other day, got booked for my last state. I've been in every state in the country. Alaska just reached out to me. Is a byproduct of the infatuation, of my infatuation, but the influence of 2 men. Dr. Miles Monroe and Zig Ziglar. And then you can add later on Jim Rohn and Les Brown and other people who've influenced me. But the point I'm making is, if I would not have been influenced by those people, I don't know what I would be doing today. Maybe I would have stayed in the diagnostics field, which wouldn't have been bad because it was a great company with great, stock options, and it'd be worth millions of dollars in stock options. But the reality is now, it's like I'm in a lane that I just thank God for every day. And part of my work is to try to get other people in those lanes too. So think about what I just said. All right, lifetime infatuation is one way to find what you're passionate about. If you still got time, all right, they're still giving out these little checks so you can, but don't sit at home and waste time. Think about, what am I infatuated about? What organizations do I need to connect with to learn more about it? What associations can I participate in to get more knowledge? Who has done it? How could I study their lives to see how they did it, to see how I can do it? See, when you see me today, I get people all the time to say they want to do what you do. I say, are you willing to research like I did? Are you really to study the greats like I did? Are you willing to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to go to seminars and events and National Speakers Association meetings like I did? I mean, you can't just say you want to do what somebody does. Are you willing to make that dive and get in there to learn like they did? Are you willing to make sacrifices like they did? You see? So lifetime infatuation, man. What are you infatuated with? What floats your boat? And then secondly, who do you admire? It's interesting. I like doing work in Texas. And I do a lot of, I do a lot of youth work. Like I said, I got this book, Purpose Living Teen. This is my best-selling book right here. We sold this book has been sold all over the world. I've gotten emails from kids all over the world whose life was changed from this book, because it's not just about purpose. It always talks about soft skills and all those things that they need to know. But I get messages from all over the world about young people whose lives have been changed and transformed as a result of purpose. But we talk about the soft skills and all those other things that come along with it. And then I got this book here, Reinvention: The Pathway to Job Search Success. This is the book of the hour for this generation because everybody's trying to find jobs. But the question you got to ask yourself is, what's my infatuation? Who's influencing me? You see, and you gotta steep yourself in those environments that can help you develop in those areas. You know what I mean? Because if not, guess what? Those ideas remain ideas forever, and that's frustrating. So I'm kind of pause it right now. If you're interested in learning more, go to my website, CoachDSpeaks.com. All right, let me see if I can type this in. I think I can get that in there. CoachDSpeaks.com. And there's a section on my website. If you scroll down, it says strategy session. Click on the strategy session. And that's could just be for conversation. You know what I mean? Really, we can just, if you can just take a look at that. So Janine, so you're saying what was the most influential information you introduced to your kids? What I'm talking to you about right now. This right here, Janine, is when you hear me talk about my kids, like my daughter getting ready to go to, one of the top schools in the country, full scholarship pretty much, and my son just graduating. Dr. Miles Monroe taught me at an early age, a very early age, raise your kids based upon their purpose. If there's any parents out there, please hear this. Don't raise your kids based upon what you think they should do. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. You're going to be, why? Because I said so. You don't have to live their lives. You don't have to live their lives. And you want a child to turn on you later on, force them to do something career-wise that they hate doing. Boy, that'll turn on you real fast. I've lost people when I share this because folks don't like to hear the truth. And one time I did a workshop, how to find your passion and make a living at it, workshop at the University of Delaware. Good question, Janine. And if anybody else has questions, ask me, because I consult on this stuff all over the country. So now's the time to ask. All right. So now's the time to ask questions. I'm open to answer them. But Janine, when Dr. Monroe's talked about raising kids with purpose, that's exactly what my wife and I have done. So my daughter's going to pursue international relations because she started a nonprofit to help orphans in Nairobi. So she wants to understand her goal. She just recently said her program is 4 years and a master's, but she said she wants to go after her PhD, her doctorate degree. My son's, his degree is in BFA in illustration and animation. He wants to go into that field. I've raised them all that way. My youngest son wants to go into the Naval Academy or the military, and he wants to serve in politics and history. So he wants to go that route, but he wants to serve his country first. But I didn't superimpose my beliefs on them. I just support what they have in them. So that's my answer, and I hope that was helpful. But the reality of the matter is, as parents, we're the ones that can really shape. Now, another book I don't talk about too often, I should do more of, is entitled, there you go. Yeah, there you go. That's good, Janine. Yep. And there's another book I wrote here that's out here too. Let me type this one in, so you can know what this one is, because this book tells a lot about how we run our household when it comes to our kids. All right, I'm gonna type it in and I'll mention it. Okay, and all of this is on Amazon as well. All right, and the title of the book is entitled "The Parent is Coach: Developing a Family Dream Team." Here's my premise. All right, now I'm totally off the subject, so hang in there with me, guys. Yeah, thank you, Janine. This is my premise. The parents are the coach of the household team. Everybody else is an assistant coach. And what I mean by that is this: a good coach does two things. They provide motivation and they provide strategy. Think about that. A good coach provides motivation and then they provide strategy. If you just provide motivation, that's useless. And if you provide strategy without the motivation, that's useless. So when you're raising your kids, you want to give them strategy and you want to give them motivation. And so when they find their purpose, and people are like, well, how do you find that in your kids? Just watch them, observe. Oh, it's clear. It's clear as day. Some people get frustrated with that child that talks all the time. Well, Oprah mama got frustrated too, but she realized that voice was going to make a difference. And look what the world has today. Don't kill the gift in your child because you don't understand it. Sometimes it's going to be tough. Like I was kind of feisty. But my mom never, ever shut me down because of my mouth, because I had one. But she used to tell me, one day I know that mouth is going to be used for the good. And I remember I went back to Syracuse, Janine, and I spoke over at the On Center, and all them people were there and gave the Syracuse Education Foundation. And gave this big old speech, and they would applaud it. And my mom was crying, and I went to hug her, and she looked at me. She said, "Remember, I told you. I knew you were going to use your voice for good." So I'm talking about kids now. Maybe I should do a totally different session on this, because I think this will be a good subject for us to talk about. But the reality of the matter is these things are really critical importance, because we don't realize that life, first of all, life is short, but we all have a gift to contribute during this life in which we have, and that gift is steeped in our purpose. It's steeped in our passion. And some people don't believe in this. They think all that purpose, passion stuff is ridiculous. Yeah, it is. It is. And I think that, I met a guy one time that made $65 million and was miserable. Now I told him I can help him if he give me about 10 million of those dollars, we can help him become happy. But he was miserable because he made a lot of money, but he had no sense of meaning. And I said, boy, people trying to make what you made and thinking they're going to be happy, and you made it and you're not happy. There's a book that was written by Dr. Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. And he talks about that in the book, you know what I mean? Because of his own experiences. But the reality of the matter is simply this. I'm coming up on a half an hour. This is only supposed to be 15 minutes, but here I go. There are ways you can find your passion. If you're laid off right now, you lost your job, man, get some coaching. Go to some of these job centers, get that free information. Hire coaches like me that can walk you through a reinvention process. We do have a group on Facebook. I want y'all to look up. It was myself and Jay McGowan. Take a look at it if you can. I spelled that wrong. Sorry about that. It's called the Transformation Formation Project. Take a look at that Transformation Project. Jay and I are kicking this off. For those you don't know, Jay is the guy who created songs like "Hoot There It Is" and "Come and Ride the Train" and the Tootsie Roll, Space Jam, and sold 25 million albums. And he's now a rebranding expert. And he and I are working together to create some powerful tools that's going to help people to rebrand and reinvent yourself. And let me say this to you. Age is not a concern here. You can reinvent yourself at 65. You can reinvent yourself at 70. You can reinvent yourself anytime. Colonel Sanders was almost 70 before Kentucky Fried Chicken became world renowned. It is never too late. Don't give up on your purpose and your dreams. If you got them, you can still find a way to make them happen. So again, take a look at my website. We work for an organization. We are contracted all over the country to run these workshops. I spend most of my days doing workshops for various organizations all over the country, right here from my computer. And we're impacting a lot of lives. One thing I like about this time period is that I'm able to be in 5 or 6 states in one day. Boy, that helps when it comes to jet lag. Because before I would get off those planes and not even know what city I was in. I was so tired. But now I can do this and go spend time with my kids and, love my wife and be a family man and still have the kind of impact. So this is actually, to me, has been a blessing. It's sad that what's going on with coronavirus is sad what's going on, but boy, my business is more successful than it's ever been. We're impacting more lives than we've ever impacted. And I'll say this before we go. One of the newer things we've been doing a lot of work in is in the area of equity. And I've been training these organizations, but I tell people all the time, equity is not a head issue. It's a heart issue. I don't even want to work with you if you think it's just doing the diversity thing and check off a box. It starts right here in the heart, man. And if we can't see all people, as important, as significant, trash the training program. It's going to be useless. It starts with each and every individual embracing the fact that all human beings are important. Okay, we may have different skin color. We may even have from different backgrounds. We may even have different things that we consider important. But if we can respect one another and people can learn to respect people who are different than them, that's when this nation really will become a great nation again. We got a long way to go. So I don't want to deviate and go too far over to that side, but that's some work we're doing in there. And we got a lot more. The numbers are starting to stack up with different schools and organizations and workforce groups that we're starting to do that with. And of course, my dear friend Pierre Campbell is my brother. I say my brother from another mother number. He's been doing my brother from another mother has been rocking the house in that arena along with leadership. So check him out at pierrecamp.com because companies are lining up to get him in there to help as well. So listen, I hope this information was helpful. Take a look at our website and reach out to us if we can be of help. And remember, there are ways you can find your passion and make a living at it, but you got to put the work in to get the job done. And sometimes that work needs assistance. So take care. Bye-bye.